Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan Little. We are at the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure in the Bahamas. This time, I'm not going to play any poker though, because I'm going to be commentating. Right back here is the commentary booth. I'm going to be there during some of the breaks, and during the play, sometimes I will be commentating that live. Hopefully I'll be able to bring you some behind the scenes footage of all that. Here is that gigantic PokerStars set. It is huge. It looks like the monster from Stranger Things. No spoilers, don't worry. Today is rehearsal day. So far it's basically meant that I have sat in a chair for a bit and commentated on poker for a minute or two. And soon, they're going to have this entire set put together. We've actually been waiting for the last 4 or 5 hours now for them to finish up this little booth right here. Apparently, it's hard to set up a new set for the first time, especially a new giant one. So anyway, that's what we're doing today. Tomorrow is day 2 of the $100,000 tournament. They're actually playing that way back over there. Way back over there. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. I've been to the PCA, I think, 9 times. I've only skipped 1 year. That's when I had my son James for the first time. Well, I had my son James for the first time. I guess you only have that son once. But anyway, I've only skipped 1 time. That was last year. I fully planned on coming to play this time. But PokerStars asked me if I would like to commentate, and I said sure. So we're going to be doing that every day. It's going to be long days, something like 12 or 14-hour days every day. But it should be fun. It should be an experience. And who knows what's going to be in these updates, because normally I talk about poker, but now I'm not going to have any poker to talk about. So let's do it.
Feel the other players out, but I mean, as you would expect in a 100K, I think a lot of the players are familiar with each other, so they're going to come out fiery.
And who for your money, is the clear favourite at this table? Who's got the most experience?
Yeah, but that's what you do when you're Daniel Medrano. Poker is his game. He gets out there and he plays. The more info he gets, the more pots he plays, the better he is. So definitely a stage where I would expect that.
Here we are. We're about to do some commentary. I just went through this process. Here we have some hands.
It's taking a lot longer on me, though.
So yeah, we're going to talk about 3 hands. On one of them, it was pretty cool. Negranu made a pretty sweet play. He had pocket 2s facing a raise. It came against Ivan Luka, very aggressive guy. It came 6-5-3. Luka bet, Negranu like basically min raised, slightly bigger than min raised, with pocket 2s, which is good. I actually like it because you protect your hand, and sometimes you get called by worse. Luka had 9s though, so he was in bad shape. Luka called, obviously. Turn was a 3. He goes check, check. River was like an 8 or something like that.
Yeah, that's it.
Luka checked, as he certainly should, because Negranu's range should be fairly polarized at this point. And then Negranu blasted it. I don't remember what he bet exactly, but it was way more than the size of the pot. And Luka like instantly folded. I actually thought he'd have a pretty easy call with the 9s, because you would think Negranu would bet most of his nut hands on the turn. But interesting spot, and Negranu has made a point to mention he's been studying a lot, and sure enough, he's making it happen. Here I am at the break desk, which is the end of day desk. Now, as you can see, I'm by myself. They are currently heads up. You can't see that, that's too far away. They're heads up in the $100,000 tournament. Justin Bonomo and Kerry Katz with roughly even stacks. I already know who wins. It's Kerry Katz, which is great for him. Yesterday at this desk, I was not happy with my performance. I was stumbling along a bit because, well, this headset is quite loud. So they were talking to me in my ear the whole time, and counting down to various clips and whatnot. And it's hard to put together a sentence about poker whenever people are saying, all right, in 16 seconds, we're going to go to the screen where they discuss blank and blank and blank. All right, 17, 16, 15, 14. It's hard to do. So I'm slightly nervous going into this end of day wrap up, but I'm going to do my best. I think I have some strategies devised to make it to where I don't hear them counting down quite so much, so I can instead just focus on talking about poker. And we're gonna do that. All in all, though, it's been a lot of fun. I think I've done a pretty good job in the commentary booth. I did 2 hours today and 2 hours yesterday. And yeah, so far it's been a fun trip. Well, I don't think any of the pros are getting to commentate all that much just because there's 4 of us, right? If there are 4 of us and we do 2 hours each day, and each day is 8 hours, it means we're not in there all that much. But I think that's very good for the viewers, because the viewers get to get lots of perspectives and they get to see new people. It's certainly not fun to listen to the same person talk for 8 hours all day, unless you really love that person. So I understand it, and I've been enjoying the Atlantis. So anyway, I don't have a whole lot of poker updates to give. Yeah, no poker updates to give. So the main event has started, and today I'm at the break desk most of the time. The main event takes a lot longer than the other days because the other previous days were final tables, and they were somewhat fast. Today, I had to wake up at like 9 a.m., get up here by 11, and then I'm gonna be here until midnight. But that's okay, it's good, I like it. I'm about to do a break desk segment with Andre Akari. Spoiler alert, he busted. Also, there was a really sweet hand where Jonathan Jaffe had a hero call where small blind limped, Jaffe checked with queen 8, flop comes 6-5-4, 2 clubs. Opponent bets normal, Jaffe calls with the overcard and gut shot. Turn was a queen. Opponent 1.5x pots it. Jaffe calls with top pair. River was another 4, flush draw missed. Opponent bet 1.5 times pot again. His opponent seemed to be a good, competent player, in my opinion, which makes me think that he has some value hands and some bluffs in this spot. And if that's the case, Jaffe should definitely call with the queen 8. Twitch chat thought it was a horrible call, and I completely disagree. Whenever you looked at the guy's range, I'm probably gonna write an article about this at some point. When you look at the guy's range, there were something like 60 potential bluff combinations and either 60 or 32 nut combinations, depending on how he plays 7-3 offsuit and 3-2 offsuit. A lot of people just fold those pre-flop. This guy limped 7-3 actually though, so 7-3 made the straight there. And if he does not have 7-3 and 3-2, then that means he has to give up with almost all of his bluffs, which is tough to do. if he has the full 64 value combinations, then he can justify perhaps folding, but even then he still has to give up some of his bluffs. Also, obviously he doesn't play all of his flush draws, all of his open-ended straight draws, etc. by taking that line, but all in all, given Chaffee had an 8 blocking 8-7, and he had a queen blocking queens full, I do think that was enough to justify a call. And Chaffee has sort of been on the bad end of the stick in terms of calling wrong, folding wrong, etc., but I think he's playing great. Hello there. Here I am walking back after the end of day 3 of the main event. They are in the money, and the chip leader is my good friend David Peters. He put on an absolute clinic today at the final table for the 3 hours he was at the feature table. He was playing just good, solid David Peters, tight aggressive poker, maybe a little bit loose aggressive. There's one hand where under the gun raised, he 3-bet in second position with ace-9 of diamonds. Flop comes king, king, 7. He goes check, check on the flop, turn was some blank. Goes check, check, river was another blank. He goes check, check. Or actually, the opponent bet, he folded. And the guy just had quads. So he was on point. He was playing great. One guy ran a pretty ridiculous bluff into him that did not succeed. And sometimes everything goes your way. So anyway, I'm excited to see how he plays out the rest of the tournament. Hopefully, they keep him at the feature table. So what else? That's pretty much it. Commentating's fun. It's nice. I'm back at it again tomorrow. I feel like I'm doing a reasonably good job. Joe Stapleton has a lot of jokes that are based around this thing called Rick and Morty and Pickle Rick, and I don't know what any of that stuff is. But that's okay, because I don't watch TV. Anyway, it's fun. I do my best. The Twitch chat thinks that they think I'm clueless when it comes to culture, and I think they think I have a bad personality, some of them. Really, though, they just don't get it. So, it is what it is. I'm just gonna go get some sleep and run it back again tomorrow. Here we are, back on the set. We're about to do a break desk segment. I'm here with Richard. There he is. Say hello. Hello. So far, David Peters has been crushing it. They're down to, I think, 15 players. David Peters has lost almost every pot today, but despite that, he is still a nice chip leader with about 3 times average, which is great. So far, the play has been a lot of fun. It's great to see how very good players get a hold of chips and then use those chips to run over the table. And that's what he's doing. He's opening wider than I expected, which is fun to see. And it seems like really everyone is afraid to mess with him, which is an interesting dynamic because I usually have like no fear, I guess is the right word, when it comes to attacking players who are obviously playing too aggressively. But it seems like legitimately everyone at the table is afraid to value bet thin against them, afraid to bluff against them, and whenever that happens, you can just kill it. We're going to record the last break of the day, hopefully. It's been a long day. David Peters lost every single hand he played. It was brutal. I think he took 12th place or something like that after starting with 16 players as the chip leader. So that was horrible for him. Now, a guy whose name I'm completely forgetting, a very good high roller player, is currently the big chip lead. And with 8 players remaining, everyone is pretty shallow besides 2 players. So it's going to be nice, slow, boring poker for the next probably 2 hours or so. And maybe for the rest of the final table. Sometimes that happens when one person gets all the chips. Everyone else gets blinded down. They're playing for 3rd place, and that is where we are now. Here we are on the final day of the PCA main event. As you can see, it's playing right behind me. I'm going to be at the break desk for the second break of the day. They have a short 50-minute level first, and then I'm going to be on the break desk going over whatever hands come up. We just saw Maria, who you just saw, make a really optimistic call with Queen High against Sean Buchanan. It was not good. So right now I think Sean Buchanan is the chip leader, and that's a lot of fun. I like Sean Buchanan. He's a nice down-to-key guy, or down down-to-earth guy and flies under the radar, yet he is great. So, it's been fun. It's been a lot of action. Make sure you go back and watch the coverage. There's Sean Buchanan right there. You can watch the videos, and that's a lot of great learning material. At this final table, there is the #1 and #4 ranked player in the world, according to the Global Poker Index at this final table. And, I mean, I'm learning a lot, and I definitely think you can all learn a lot too, so make sure you check it out. Well, it's my last break desk segment, which is a real bummer. The PCA is coming to an end. I have lots of good analysis on a fun hand. I'll actually read it to you while I'm here. It's probably good to rehearse. So in this hand, Sean Buchanan raised on the button. He had the big stack, Sean the Cannon Buchanan. He made it 200K out of his very big stack, 60 big blinds. Folds around to the player in the small blind, Daniel Kupel, who decided to call out of his 10.5 big blind stack with 8-4 of diamonds. Not a very good hand. Worth mentioning, there's one other short stack with 19 big blinds and another player with 32 big blinds. I think that's a spot where you probably should play somewhat active just to try to double up or go broke. I mean, you're not trying to go broke. The other two players who had the medium stacks were not playing in a way that made it to where you could like inevitably chip up. So anyway, I like his call. You could also actually jam, which sounds a little bit optimistic. But if Sean is opening a lot on the button and not calling off stuff like queen highs, then you're probably going to immediately profit with a shove, which may also sound a little bit crazy, but I like it. Flop came king 5-3, 1 diamond, so 8-4 of diamonds has almost nothing. He checked. Sean Buchanan bet 1.25 big blinds, like he should in this spot with pretty much his entire range. And then Kupel decided to go all in for 845K more. Now, that may not sound like such a great play with backdoor flush draws and some undercards, but right here is putting in 845K to win 1.47 million. So, figure out how often a bluff has to work. Do it real quick by yourself. It needs to work about 57% of the time. 845 divided by 1470. Okay, now we'd have to see how often is Buchanan going to call this shove. Well, I played around with Flopzilla a bit, and it turns out that if Sean Buchanan only calls with pairs, he is going to end up folding about 65% of the time, way too often. If he's going to call with ace high, he's going to call about half the time, but even then, if he's calling with ace highs, 8-4 suited has a whopping 20%, 8-4 suited has 20% equity, making it roughly break even. So really, the only time shoving is particularly bad is when Buchanan calls with queen high. You think he's going to call with queen high on king 5-3? Probably not, right? So I actually think this is a pretty sweet spot to go all in with a somewhat wide range. Everyone knows to go all in with their gut shots and their pairs and whatnot, but most people don't go all in with some of the more speculative hands. Like, sure, you'd rather have an overcard or something like that. But on high card, low card, low card, very often the pre-flop raiser on the button as the big stack should have a wide range, and they're not going to connect so well with that. So anyway, cool hand. The actual hand took about 30 seconds. Everyone in the back was like, wow, what a punt, he gave it away. But I'm like, oh, that doesn't read like a punt to me. That just reads like good aggressive poker. And I like it. So anyway, I don't know what else we're going to be doing here out of the PCA. We have one more break desk segment for me. The tournament's going to be over soon. They're three-handed at the moment. So I'm rooting for Sean Buchanan. He's been around as long as I have. His first WPT win was the first tournament after my WPT win. So we've been around for forever. We're dinosaurs. It's good to see the dinosaurs still around. So it's all over. Maria won. She came back from almost no chips to win this thing. Now we're going out with all the crew to take a photo. Look at all the crew. You would not believe how many people are on this crew. This is about half of them. Let's go say hello. 140 people working on this production. Anyway, it was a whole lot of fun. I'm honored to be a part of it, and hopefully I get the opportunity again in the future. Joe! There we go. There's Joe way over there. slowing everyone down.
We've been standing here for half an hour waiting for Francie to get in.
This has been a lot of fun.
Can we get a copy of this photograph?
Yeah. Gary!
Gary!
What? I didn't know this was happening. I passed all the way to the shower.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, I saw him walking in the middle because my shirt. Run in the corridor! Run! Guys, hurry up! Come out now, it's over. There's no cookies, come back here.
Finally going to take this photo.
Come, where you go? Steve.
It's good. It's good. Holy shit. I'm sorry, I'm walking all over you. Where's Pete Layfield? Where's Pete? Where's Pete?